guys, it's Sarah. Today I'm going to be talking about how to read more during college/university. So this is definitely something I've kind of been a bit of a learning curve over the years for me, and these are just a couple tips that I've kind of learned along the way. So obviously you are going to school, you probably don't have a lot of time, you're burned out, you're working possibly, you're homeworking and studying and reading textbooks, and the last thing you're going to want to do after studying for a long time. But with these handy ideas, maybe you'll continue with your reading goals. So first, the number one thing I would recommend to you guys would be to prioritize reading. Now, obviously, your lives are gonna be busy because that's what school does to you. But if you look at your schedule and see all the times that you're gonna be in class and all the time that you're gonna have to be studying, what I find is super helpful is to schedule in writing time. Like, you block it in, you promise to yourself that you're not going to do anything else during this time but read, whether it's half an hour, or more, whatever you can fit in, try. So maybe just like wake up a little bit earlier and drink some coffee and read a book in the morning, or maybe go to bed a little earlier, but instead of sleeping, you open up your book and you're like, dang, this is awesome. Make a promise to yourself, maybe instead of watching and marathoning Netflix when you're just done with life. Number two is don't let yourself get bored. And what I mean by this is don't read books that you feel that you should read. Say you're just like, you know, I've never read this classic book, maybe I should pick it up so that I can look all worldly and cool when I'm reading it on the campus. No, if you're not generally interested in the book that you're reading, you're going to be less likely to pick it up. And if you only have like a certain amount of time to read, why wouldn't it be something that you are absolutely so incredibly stoked to read? So I would definitely recommend only reading things that you are just super interested in, and if you're reading a book and you're not liking it, put it down and pick up something cooler, because ain't nobody got time for that. Another tip that I would definitely recommend is accountability online. And what I mean by that is maybe going onto Goodreads and posting all of your updates or interacting with other people like on Facebook, or maybe even joining like a book club or getting a book pen pal or doing a group read, any of those kind of like group reading activities that kind of gives you an accountability. Because if you don't read the book, then you're just gonna look like a giant wiener, right? Yeah, well, you know. So by including others in your reading experience, then, you know, it definitely maybe will motivate you to, instead of getting completely smashed after you bomb a test, maybe you're like, instead I'm going to read this wonderful book, because if I don't, then my book club will point and laugh at me. Not really, but you know. Another tip that I found super helpful is just always having a book on you at all times, whether it's a physical book, an ebook, or what I especially love to do is to buy an ebook and put it on my iPhone, because you always have your phone on you. So even if you have forgotten your paperback, then you can whip up your phone and just like read your book. And it's super handy, especially like if you go to class and maybe your teacher is 15 minutes late, that's like 15 minutes of reading you can kick in there. Or if you're on like the bus, or you're waiting in line at like a cafeteria or something, just like you never know when an occasion's gonna occur in which reading can happen. And if you're always prepared, then it'll just be awesome. And finally, another thing, but it's kind of a bit more drastic, and this is kind of more towards people who kind of procrastinate reading in exchange for going on the internet and Tumbling or YouTubing or good reading or anything. The internet is very large, but there is software that you can put on your computer in which it will block your internet access for a certain amount of time. And if you're the kind of person that strays and it's just like, I want to watch some videos of cats, this will stop you. And I learned about a lot of these programs when I started doing NaNoWriMo, because I'd be typing and then I'd be like, woo, something cute, or ooh, this is interesting, and I wouldn't get so much done. But if you put this software on, then you can be like, internet, be blocked for 45 minutes, and no matter what you do, you're not going to be able to get that internet back for that amount of time, so then you will be more likely to continue reading. So one that I would definitely recommend would be another really awesome thing that I know a lot of people are doing is also downloading audiobooks and putting them on their iPods, iPhones, putting them just like with them, so maybe if you're driving and commuting to school, you can plop that bad boy in and listen to your book, so you're like multitasking. And the last thing that I kind of tax onto one of my previous notes would definitely have to be get involved in like the booktubing community and make yourself accountable for your reading goals. But I mean, at the same time, you don't want to be reading and then having your schoolwork suffering, because that's definitely not what I'm trying to get across here. School, if you're paying loads of money for school, you definitely don't want to be screwing it up so that you can impress some internet strangers or like goof off. Schooling is ultimately very, very important. So with everything, there's a balance, but I know a lot of the time you get so overwhelmed in like all your projects and tests and exams and readings and papers and just all this stuff and work and blah, disgusting things. Sometimes you just want to sit and veg, and that is like my final point is don't be afraid to do nothing. Don't be afraid of sitting there and be like, you know what, I'm gonna marathon this Netflix and I'm not getting up until it's done. And that is totally fine. If you need that vegging and that just like mental escape through something that's not reading, then totally veg. Do what you need to do, because everything in moderation and everything should be because you want to, not because you feel you should. Alright, so those are some of my tips. I'm sure I've left out like a lot of really important points, but these are just like the main things that kind of come to mind. Do you agree with them? Do you disagree? Let me know in the comments below, and I will definitely see you guys later. Thanks for watching.